Thanks for sharing, Vivek. Nextrite has been in collaboration with IBM from the past 10 years. We have more than 350 employees across Asia Pacific region, and we are been drawing inspiration from IBM, a brand that resonates with our desired direction. We align ourselves with their commitment to innovation, reliability, and a customer-centric approach. I would like to introduce today's speaker, Mr. Vivek. He is an expert in the area of software defined networking and leading pre sales function for the newly formed IBM Software Networking Business Unit. He previously worked for Cisco and Dell Tech Sales. His current role is to work with customers to provide better network visibility and help them embrace automation. I request everyone to please feel free to post your questions in the chat box, or you can also ask at the Q&A session. Feel free to raise your hand and ask the questions. We are here for an interactive session. Vivek, can you please take over?
Sure. All right. Thanks for the introduction. Hi everyone. It's great to be here. And talking to a wider audience across Asia Pacific. As you would have heard my introduction, I'm part of IBM Software Networking Business Unit, and I'm based in Sydney. It's scorching hot weather today here in Sydney. And hope I can take that some heat off, and we can have a interactive session. So before I start on, I just maybe wanted to give you a bit more context of why IBM and automation, because automation is something which is called as a subject which can be a taboo for some organization, and which is a kind of a, an edge for certain organizations, depending on which lens you are seeking to view this. So the jury is still out that whether Henry Ford made this statement or not. So about when he started competing against the horse cart and brought out the Ford Model T using assembly line, right? So that was probably like I can recall, and again a use case of automation in automobile industry. So and this is a kind of statement which probably resonates even today. Then when people are talking about the hot word is the generative AI, Gen AI. So whether it's going to be how it can help humans to be more productive and be again provide some more meaningful context in our job roles today, right? So given that context, so I wanted to take you through today what exactly is IBM doing in this particular space, and how we can help you in some of your challenges that you are facing today, and hopefully can provide some values which you can use it in your operational tasks. So as I mentioned before, like some of the modern businesses have changed, and wherein the user experience is so critical that the application itself is the business over here. So for example, so closer home, it's retail brands like Iconic in ANZ, right? So and things like Grab in ASEAN market, or maybe if we are talking about Flipkart in an Indian market, right? So wherein the application itself is the business, and wherein even a small delta of user experience kind of makes a significant difference to the business trajectory. So in fact, there was a response that we went ahead and sought some of the reports, and saw even with a slight improvement of zero point 0.1 second, for example, in this case, resulted in 10% sales growth. Or maybe if a particular site takes too long to load across or give a particular answer, people tend to leave that particular site, right? So and it takes, and user acquisition, as we all know, is a very important part of the today's economy, and we want to hold on to those particular customers of ours, and those loyal customers to continue with us on our journey, right? So given that context of application, so just wanted to give you a bit more from a network side. So what things have changed? So if applications are the business right now, working in the hybrid cloud world that we live in, So what are the challenges that's happening on the network side? So this was a study done in 2023, which talks about the mega trends and look at the decline that in last few years that people have seen from their they what they deem themselves to be as success in their own job roles. So it declined huge significantly, like maybe by 22 percentages point, which is quite significant. And what are the pressure points today? Like I just spoke about that when applications are residing in hybrid environment, and for example, in some cases, it's delivered as a SaaS only platform. So the users are accessing it from all across the globe today with our dynamic workforce or remote workforce that we have got. Second part is that a lot of networking constructs have become from being very static ones to a lot dynamic one. So when I say dynamic means that means software defined. So that everything, for example, today we talk about things like software defined WAN, software defined networking, cloud networking, all those things makes things a lot more complicated for the network operations to figure out the issue and maybe resolve and take and be us take a step forward to resolve those in a more proactive way rather than just being in a reactive mode always, right? So that's the second most important point. And thirdly, the labor shortages. So we have all heard about, and the biggest point is that NetOps talent is again becoming less and less. So everybody wants to do generative AI today. So we have got a challenge of attracting the right talent for the for maintaining all these complex connectivity aspect of it. And so that's where uh, I wanted to bring in the context of that now, given that all these challenges that we have got. So how we can maybe take the next step and maybe give you a bit more proactive approach. So in this case, for example, you have, as you were heard before that, for example, applications and retail businesses or maybe any business that you talk about today is relying on hybrid cloud environment to reach out to their end customer and run their business critical applications. And now applications have so many more resources uh, to go through these kind of hop to provide an optimal end-to-end user experience, right? So the days of running a single physical bare metal in your own data center with all the users residing in a one building are gone, right? So we have got so much of distribution of applications, so much of distribution of data, and so much of distribution of the users accessing these applications. So, and this is what we called across as a hyper distributed environment. So, wherein uh, all the resources, including your users, are spread across the different geographic domains, and that's what brings the complexity, and that's where network is an important aspect to make sure that the applications, which are the lifeline of our digital business today, are performing well. So, just to give a more context of how critical this is for our businesses today. So I just wanted to take you through something which we drive on day-to-day basis or which we use on day-to-day basis, which are cars, right? So think of uh, right from the latest and latest, which is EV from Tesla to the 67s, 60s Beetle iconic car. All have maybe different engines, right? So it could be an electric, it could be EV, it could be my traditional running petrol based or gasoline based engines, right? And all of these things needs to drive on something which is common thing, which is our roads or highways or need to go through those traffic signals. And this is where SevOne steps in to act as the navigation or the GPS for these cars to drive on those highways. So just to give you more context, that now imagine these cars as application, and these different engines are the infrastructure on which these applications are residing, and the highways are the networks. So we monitor all those networks and act like a GPS for all these applications to perform in a much better way. So till today we were doing like more of a function of a GPS. Oh, take this route. So today, for example, I'll take context of Sydney. So, for example, if Sydney Harbour Bridge is stuck, so is having experiencing more traffic jams, go through the Harbour Tunnel or take the Anzac Bridge, for example. So this is what the traditional monitoring solution used to do it, and SevOne used to do that same for some time. So what we have added on as a new function now is not only as a GPS, but it can guide you uh, and take more of a, like a auto steer function, wherein it can tell you we need to run, for example, for a 60. So you can put in the car in a, like a cruise control, and it will guide you and avoid some repetitive tasks to be done. For example, I need to brake every time when I see that the car slowing down in front of me. So instead of me taking that taking my foot from my car and putting that on a brake pedal again and again, I can ask Seven to perform this for me. So these kind of repetitive task is and so that it saves you and gives you a much more better driving experience. So that's what we are trying to enable with this particular solution. And just to give you more context of these are again different IBM brands solutions which provide more application layer visibility or maybe application resource management, and that's and Seven sits and looking at that those networks and acting as GPS for those applications. So just to give a bit more context to the how we are taking at this journey at IBM Software Networking. So there are three pillars that we are looking into it. How we are looking to empower our IT to deliver this, make sure that they can deliver the best experience for the end user. So the first part is that we are gonna observe. So again, we answer the any question that because we can collect huge amount of data from those networks, we can observe all the behavior that's going around and help going from a reactive mode going to a more proactive mode, proactively detect the issues as you can see on your screen. So we can eliminate quite a number of significant number of hours on any incident, so basically reducing your mean time to innocence, as we call it, right? So second part is that now we have observed this data, so what actions can I take? So I just gave you context of if the GPS is telling me that this is the way to go, can i can I ask my car itself to do these repetitive actions of going by a certain speed limit or braking automatically when the car or a vehicle stops me in the car in front of me, right? So essentially, again, what's the end result for it? We can maintain the operation with less human efforts, right? So we can be more productive in doing something more meaningful or a more higher value job itself. And finally, we can connect. So that's the third pillar that we are working on is to get the end users to the most and the best experience, the most optimal experience in to connect them from applications from to their end device. So effectively taking connectivity more of as a network as a service kind of construct. So wherein connectivity is being provided on demand basis. So today we're going to talk about the first two pillars, which is observe and automate. I just wanted to give you more context because that's the focus of our conversation today. So again, it's a complete suite, which we called as IBM SevOne Automated Network Observability, quite a mouthful. So IBM Seno is the easier word for me to uh, talk about. So as you know, in tech world, we always love a lot of acronyms. So this is another acronym that I wanted to throw it around. So Sano is the new key buzzword out here, right? So what are the two functions we're gonna provide is observe all the network elements in whether it's on-prem or in cloud or in multiple clouds. I would say that, and take an action on top of it. So think about from a again. I'll go back to the car analogy. Think about that you are now doing cruise control with auto steering. So you're you're just sitting in the car as to make sure that in case of any urgencies that you have to use the brake pedal or do some and keep focus on the car so someone doesn't crash into you. But yeah, effectively taking a lot of human effort out from your day-to-day operations. So what is the whole solution all about in this case, and what are the key things that we provide as part of this solution? So as you as we have seen the transition from a different maybe networks to hybrid networks and more software defined. So on the left hand side, you see the various elements from where the data is being generated today more and more. And in fact, as we go into the next year and beyond, the data is going to be even significantly more with the advent of streaming telemetry and in addition to the application flow data that we talk about, right? So as we want to give more application centric views, so we need to collect more data, and more data gives uh, and give you not only just from the traditional interfaces like SNMP or NetFlow. So we can take data from any time series database. So as long as the data is there in some kind of time series database, we will be able to ingest the data, whether it's on API or it's through the different kind of toolings that's available today for the data ingestion. And once we collected the data, or these different type of data, what are the four key things that we can do? First, giving you end-to-end visibility. Everybody wants to have visibility, which applications are running in my network, how much they're consuming, who are the top talkers in my network. Can I get some golden signals uh, for that visibility for to provide how many devices are there, how many clients are there? So giving that end-to-end visibility on the network. Now I've got the visibility, so what can I do? I can apply some machine learning analytics to give me that leading indicators of a particular issue. So going from a more reactive based approach to a proactive based approach. So now I've got some proactive based approach. How can I visualize it? Give me some nice dashboard, nice UIs, UIs for different teams. So, for example, there's a team A which is working on, for example, hybrid cloud networking. There's a team which is working on the Wi-Fi side of things. So, can I provide different visualization for these different teams? And finally, can I take an action based on these events or the data that I've seen so far? So, like I mentioned, so instead of taking my foot again and again to brake uh, the car pedal, put on the brake pedal every now and then, can I just use one button to use that to break it on automated basis whenever required? And what it can help me in which all use cases: better troubleshooting, lower MTTR, closed loop automation. So, for example, it can do detect the event, take an action, and basically make sure that the incident is resolved, right? Better SLA management and compliance. And most importantly, reduce the cluttering of so many tools that exist today in your different environments, right? So that's where we can provide value to different these teams, whether it's the service management team or the network engineering team, or maybe and help, for example, in some cases, in security operations team to give them the better visibility of metric data or flow data depending on what they need, right? So I'll just take a pause. I can see a few questions that have come in. So I just maybe uh, I'll start with the first question. So Gil, you have asked the question about the SevOne automation. Does it require extensive coding knowledge? So probably you have stolen my thunder right now, uh, because this is not about and that's the whole objective of the automation is to not to learn a new coding language like Python, Node.js, and all those things. What we are giving you the option, and probably I'm just jumping ahead because you have asked this question, is giving you an easy tile-based layout and automation tool sets, which I'll showcase in the further slides. But yeah, it doesn't require any coding language. In fact, it just requires the know-how of a basic constructs of a particular workflow. For example, which data that I want to consume and what actions I want to take, and then connect with everything on API, whether it's your uh, physical networks, it's virtual networks, an application, or a SaaS platform. So think about that. Oh, I want to do any integration to ServiceNow platform, or then I want to send the data to, for example, Snowflake, for example. So we can do all those things without really going into the coding part of it, right? So that's why. we are talking about those solutions here. Then the second question is that about the various data formats that coming from various devices and clients. So do we need any middleware to read the data? So the system understands today SNMP, all kind of flows, NetFlow, JFlow, SFlow, IPFix, those kind of data. When I say that there's a term that you see non-standard data, when I say non-standard data, that means I don't have any ability to pull the data, but you have the ability to put the data in a CSV format or any kind of time series database. You can provide this data and we will ingest the data on a different mechanism. If we can be a Kafka subscriber, we can be use API, those kind of ingestion method, or maybe we can pick directly from using a CLI command. We can execute the CLI command as well to pick up the data from those devices. So what are the scaling capabilities? Oh, fantastic, Raju, Rosa, okay, for asking this question. So when I talk about large and complex networks, so some of the tier one and the Wall Street banks are a long-term user of SevOne. So we have got customers who have been using our solutions in excess of 200,000 devices, which is quite a lot. So and we have been collecting, for example, in a US carrier, a US broadcaster, we are collecting a billion data points every day to process it and provide that meaningful result to our end user. So next question is how it is different from SolarWinds and OpenNMS. So there are a lot of differences. First of all, so maybe at a very high level, there are plenty of it I can talk about. So one is the machine learning analytics. So we are not relying on static threshold or any kind of static behavior that would give you that leading indicators of a particular issue. Then we have got things like data collection. So we can collect data from any kind of networks, be software defined. For example, we can do API ingestion, integration, using some of the again the well-defined solutions in the available in the market. Most importantly, we can collect data to go into sub-second polling, for example. We can collect data for as low as 1 second polling and give you that. And data collecting, not only collecting data, but data at scale, and not aggregating data for 365 days, uh, so that you can have a complete view of what happened exactly at given point of time 6 months back. So you can travel back in time and use the data for your capacity planning and making sure that you can use the data for your analytics purpose. And finally, using it for taking an action. So uh, and most importantly, we are very much simplified in our data collection policy as well. So we don't have any complicated stuff that bring your own database, bring your own operating system. So everything is a solution. You don't have to worry about the scalability aspect. We just provide us the compute infrastructure to run this software on, and we'll take care of the outcome. Hope I've addressed all the questions. Yeah, keep them coming. So I'm happy to uh, take it on. So a bit more detail about those 4 pillars that I just discussed about that. First of all, we are supporting again the complete hybrid cloud network observability. So in fact, in the latest release, we have added Azure as well. So AWS, Azure on the public cloud side, so and then on-prem side. So we have got all the again 250 plus vendors which are supported for both SNMP as well as flow data. And also, if the data is not available, then we can talk about the how we can ingest the data using an API based mechanism. So for example, if you have got any SD-WAN vendor and you want to ingest the data from that, although we support four of the top five vendors from a solution point of view, but if you come up with something new, so we'll be able to certify a new platform within 10 business days using traditional SNMP mechanism. Or if you are using the automated complete automation solution, then we will be able to ingest data using an API mechanism. So again, the second pillar which I wanted to highlight is the machine learning analytics. Again, doing a baseline behavior, that what behavior, for example, if you are wearing a suit on a beach side, that's not a normal behavior, right? That's kind of looks like an anomaly, and it's going to stand out from the rest of the crowd, right? So that's what we're looking for, those anomalies in the complete data that we're collecting. And that's why collecting data at scale becomes important, because that gives us an ability to have a closer look at your normal behavior and provide that context. In fact, I was doing a POV at one of my customers here in Melbourne, and something started happening anomaly at 4 a.m. Suddenly, the traffic started going through the roof at 4 a.m. in the morning. If they had deployed this solution in production, so they would have gotten exact anomaly at 3:55, and automation would have taken care of the solution, blocked the communication, and made sure that network comes back to the required state. So that's what I mean by knowing what's normal and what's not. And then we can create those different machine learning algorithms in there, and different parameters are available in the solution to give you that flexible alert policy, not just the static threshold. Oh, so anything above 75 is bad, and everything below 75 is good. So because, for example, if your day-to-day behavior is workload is working on 10% utilization, so 20%, even 20 or 30% can be bad, right? But if your workload is consistently on 70s mark, anything, for example, going to 80 might not be a bad thing, right? So we kind of differentiate between using those analytics mechanism to figure it out what's the right one and what's not the right for our network happening in the network. Thirdly, visualization. So how we can quickly share the different dashboards. I spoke about that we have got so many different teams. Every team is focused on their own domains, for example, in large organizations, and how we can allow different dashboards to share between different tool sets, between different teams. This solution is multi-tenant. So if you want to have bring in different business units using their own dashboards, or in fact, you can go ahead and make a complete segregation as well, right? So that's what makes us different. We can also bring in we can have not only metric data, but also flow data, and also we can bring in the Splunk or ELK log data for visualization purpose, giving you a common dashboard across all these different domains. And obviously, so we can do a lot of third-party integration as well. And finally, so taking action. So what can we do? So like Gil asked in the previously, that do I need any kind of coding language know-how? So that's the whole objective, is we want to do a drag and drop kind of tile-based mechanism to build the workflows. That's the low-code development engine. And we have got today, again, 1,000+ integrations with different platforms, right from the public cloud to SaaS providers to PaaS providers to infrastructure provider, and also the all my different equipment providers. So integrating with their APIs to do these to take these actions. And just to give you perspective of, this is just a slide for illustration. Obviously, there are logos, can be, we can populate many more logos in this one, but yeah, for just so so this is what's there today. So as I mentioned before, so we today supports again look at the 5 SD-WAN vendors that are supported. So we are supporting on Wi-Fi side. These are solutions. So for example, if you have got Mist or something else, so we'll be able to support using our API mechanism in that case. And the same goes for the other SDN solution as well. And also for, like I mentioned before, so AWS and Azure are supported. So we are looking to add on bring other cloud providers in future as well. And obviously, and also for the different kind of VPN gateways or security solutions that we can monitor for providing the connectivity or load balancing aspects to support, again, the hybrid work environment that exists today. So yeah, so just wanted to give you a bit more context on what are the things that we are doing differently. So we brought with SevOne is the app centricity. So as we know that we are running networks to support our business, and those businesses need these applications. So how can we get the application data and provide a context to the network? Historically, it has been, oh, I need to run NetFlow, NBAR, all those technologies to get the data, right? So using NetFlow data, and also what we have done in recent innovation in this case is we have the now ability to identify the on your network and distinguish between different type of SaaS traffic as well. So whether it's the box traffic, or is it Gmail traffic, or is it Microsoft Teams traffic, which traffic is running, how, where, what are my destination, which are my top talkers, and give you that application centricity of. So for example, if a user comes to you and say that, oh, my Google Meet is not working properly, so where you start troubleshooting from network perspective. So that's where we give you that ability to go in this tool and say that, oh, what's my WebEx traffic looking like? Is it an anomaly, or is it the regular behavior? So you can start looking at that, have a better understanding of the applications that are transversing through your networks, hybrid networks today, right? So that's the first most important thing that I wanted to bring it to. Secondly, I spoke about this extensively just now. So look at this. So this is one example that we provide the data and a more context of what's normal and what's not, right? So that's what we try and use, and we automatically calculate baseline for every metric collected, every metric. So if you talk about any packet drop, any uh, any flow interface, so you can define any number of interface, and we will do baseline for each and every metric. So, and without really adding on any more licensing costs onto you. So we are trying to be very, very simple in our approach to address some of the customer issues. And not only we give these kind of metrics, we can give you, we have, you can see on your screen that there's a calendar heat map on, you can drill down on specifically on which day it was red, or maybe it was orange, and give you that context of where exactly are the anomalies that exist. The user might not have reported the issue to you, but you can see that it might have happened for a few seconds, but that allows you to go back in time and look at, oh, can this issue come back again or not? And again, we can define that, again, the policy defined on the different thresholds. So we can do it to integrate and provide more context to the different AI ops solution, including IBM as well, which allows you to look into some of the things that we can use for our, again, alerting policy, that which in which all cases do I need to raise an alert. So that this allows us to take an automated action of to mitigate a particular issue. I spoke about the visualization, so that how we can have different visual interfaces for, or maybe different contexts, the complete content, have different dashboards for different teams. So this allows different teams to have the dashboards built for their own needs, rather than just giving one plain vanilla dashboard for everyone to use. So that's what allows you uh, allows you to have be it more contextual to your user, right? So, and finally, we have now we have collected the data. What can we do to using that data? So as you see that we have done all these steps, we have collected the data, enriched the data, we are storing it for 365 days. What can we do now to take an action? And that's what we have done this, what we call as building blocks, and to define the workflows for those building blocks. And those building blocks could be an ITSM platform, could be a ops platform, it could be a public cloud, or maybe a security platform to complete the use cases, like an complete or closed loop automation use cases, for example. So uh, in case an alert is triggered, so it will take the data and take an action via an API. So that's on the right hand side you are seeing on your screens, right? So we can integrate to these different platforms, and we can take an action using an API based mechanism. So what are the top three use cases that we see in this case? What can, first thing, automate actions based on the data that machine learning or observation that we have seen from SevOne, right? So can we automate some actions? Can we do some again reduce the repetitive task? For example, think about changing a QS policy on a 400 location wide network or retail branch network. So can you do it on a by single click of a button? The answer is most likely no. And think about the other, and it's just not about the one particular vendor providing you all the, for example, CPs in this case. It could be like you can have a firewall in there. You might have throw in some wireless as well. So we can reduce that repetitive automating repetitive task by using those automation tiles. And maybe, for example, and third use case is, for example, some of things are not, you're not collecting data from, for example, an OpenShift cluster today, but you want to view that OpenShift cluster data in SevOne. So, and use those again, same machine learning analytics and the visualization part of it. So we can use, so these are just an example of use cases. We have got lot many workflows which are present and which you can use. So again, these are the kind of maybe, Gil, I'll come back to you again. So you can see that there is a drag and drop of these elements. So for example, we have got a lot of workflows that we have already built on our community page, which we'll share across later on with you. So we can do a drag and drop of these tiles, and these tiles are nothing but an action based on REST APIs. So we can start formulating. We can start off a button, for example, in this case, on your right side, you can see that we have used this SevOne tile button. We are saying that, oh, remove the high frequency polling object because I don't need that one right now. By just a clicking of the button, I can execute those functions. So think about it. So these automation tasks can be done executed by L1 or L2 resource instead of an L3 resource to be engaged. So those L3 resources can help you in formulation of these workflows, but execution can happen by some of the other resources as well. So your really expert personnel can be utilized for something else, not by doing for these tasks repetitively. And for example, in some cases, it might require a CLI access, so that we can build in those functions and say that CLI access is required or not required. We can do SSH or maybe API. So that's where we differ with a lot of the other automation solutions that exist today. And again, a task that I just spoke about, that how we can do the automation. For example, you want to consume the CPU and the CPU data from IBM Cloud. So here we can define that, collect that uh, CPU data from IBM Cloud, and then ingest the data in SevOne. And that's what the next flow is, that when it is found in SevOne, then perform the logic for as you would do for other elements which exist today. And these are the tiles that you would be using, that what all things that you want to include while populating these objects. So these are the few examples and snapshot that I wanted to give you a brief of how we can enable the workflow type of environment, not necessarily going through building those static playbooks, or maybe doing some kind of maybe like again building those Terraform uh, again Terraform objects over here. So it's very dynamic that you can plug and play. And as vendors release new API versions, for example, so you need not keep up with this. So you can just ingest the data and say that now instead of REST API version 2, I'm going to use API version 3 in this case, for example. So no need to keep up yourself updated on, oh, now they have started doing on different platforms. So that way it helps you doing the network automation, but not learning Python or Node.js for achieving your objective, right? So these are some of the examples of right from application stack to automation to, again, APM stack and different cloud providers or different ITSM platforms that are there, and there are thousands of it. So obviously, we can't. There's a lack of space on Microsoft PowerPoint today. I can't populate all of them today. But yeah, you can have a look at it, and and you can feel free to come back to Nextride or us to get more information on if you want to integrate a particular platform and you want to see automation to be done on those ones. And yeah, so finally, I just wanted to leave you with this particular customer reference, which is again large. As you know, BT is one of the largest telcos in the globe, and they use SevOne for managing their lot of end customer connectivity. So you can think about the how many, as I mentioned on the slide. So we are monitoring 5.5 million objects across hundreds of customers. So that addresses. So I think it was Rosa. So you were asking a question about scale. So that's what this the hope this statement can this kind of scale deployment can address your concerns about the complex networks and the large our ability to handle the large network. Then Spark New Zealand is another one that's in the region, which is again collecting for thousands of devices for their telco environment. And yeah, so the hope and by you, hopefully we can do some tools consolidation for you. I know there are a lot of tools that exist today in your respective environments, and using this IBM Sano platform, 7 automated network observability, we can reduce some of these repeated tasks for you and provide some value to you and allow you to be more successful in your own roles. So yeah, so that was it from my side today. So that's it. So I'll just take a minute for to address some of the questions. In this case, so Nick, you have asked questions about can SevOne integrate with other IT systems and tools? So yeah, I just demonstrated that we have got integration to different ITSM systems, ITSM platforms like ServiceNow, Atlassian, also with AIOps platforms. Hopefully that was the question that you were asking from a systems and tools perspective. So Krish, your question was about the using a graph DB or time series data B. So if not, what DB is being used to store and relay the insights? So we currently use MariaDB for doing storing the data and relaying those insights. Uh, Again, we have done a lot of enhancements, and this is like again a patented architecture which allows you to scale for like 200K plus devices in a single cluster. So I hope that addresses your question. Martin, your question was what types of network or industries have experienced the most improvements in observability after implementing SevOne? So yeah, so again, we have a lot of reference customers across different verticals. So for example, right from telecom carriers to retail providers to financial FSI, so and also the federal government entities. So it's been we have got case studies across the spectrum. So feel free to reach out if you're looking for an industry specific again insights that how we have provided some value to these particular industries. And yeah, so can I so again one last question. So I know people have to drop out. So so the last question which I'll take is can it automate the alerting process based on predefined threshold conditions? Yes, absolutely. We can define that's something which is given that you can always define a particular threshold or a specific condition. But we can also take advantage of something which, like I mentioned before, it need not to be static. In some cases, the alerting policy will be a static one because that's a good thing to do in certain use cases. In some cases, it might be like a baseline based deviation. So yeah, so that's I will. It's going to be a mix of different permutation and combination while defining a good alerting policy. So yeah, so that was it from my side. So I'll just take a pause, Sampadana.